the game I'm most interested in talking about right now is Minnesota, North Carolina. Did you see the cover or the spread on that changed yesterday?
I did not check the
The s-
spread. I will be locked in on that pretty soon because we will be, of course, predicting the game. But I don't even recall from the offseason what the spread is. I would guess North Carolina might be a 3 or 4 point favorite.
Yeah, so it started out with, at least the first time I saw it, was Minnesota was 1.5 favorite, and then now North Carolina, it switched yesterday sometime afternoon. It switched to North Carolina being a 1.5 favorite.
Yeah, that's a massive swing without any news.
There's some speculation. We had a Minnesota guy on our podcast last night. There's some speculation that Daniel Jackson, the wide receiver that at Minnesota, or Darius Taylor, the running back everybody's excited about. He had a really good 4 or 5 game stretch last year
Yep.
before he got injured. There's some speculation those guys might be hurt. So I feel like it's either the money coming in or one of those two guys might not be expected to play.
Yeah, we hear from our betting guy, Steve Merrill, on a regular basis that if the public is making some kind of surge, then they usually don't know what they're talking about. They're usually wrong. So go the other way. But yeah, that would be pretty significant. One of those guys, not so much. It's usually just a quarterback, or you've got to be an all-time type Aaron Donald kind of player, other than a quarterback position to sway a line. But yeah, if you put those two guys together, although Minnesota's been about as good as anybody in college football over the last 4 or 5 years of just bringing tailbacks off the bench and going like 4 or 5 deep, and it doesn't seem to matter. But that may not be the case this year.
Yeah, I think the quarterback is definitely the one that if that one happens, that normally moves the line more. I tend to believe it's probably money related. I PJ Fleck keeps it so tight with information coming out of there. I can't imagine they would figure something out and the public doesn't know about it or Minnesota writers wouldn't come out with it and say something about that. I do want to get your thoughts really fast and then I'll head out on Max Brosmer, the quarterback coming in from FCS, passing yard leader last year, coming to Minnesota. We talk a lot about players making the transition from, G5 to Power 5 and FCS to Power 5. What do you think that transition is like for a quarterback making it from FCS all the way up to, not just G5, but Power 4? Minnesota's going to be playing a lot of good teams this year.
So I got to think that the first thing that comes to mind is that there's an adjustment because the typical cornerback closing window, across just not the cornerback position, but that's a one-on-one matchup type situation. But as you read zones and you read coverages, it becomes more complex than that. Than just okay, you got a wide out doing a square out, and you're trying to beat the quarterback to the sideline. Uh, that's an isolated one-on-one play. But I think with the complexity of we won't even go with the defensive line, we'll just go with the coverages in the secondary. That the anticipation has to be better. The anticipation and the decision making has to be better because the windows close quicker, and the coverage is just going to be better on a regular basis. Although your players have upgraded as well, but I got to think that the gap is closed as opposed to coming from a top FCS program.
Yeah, I mean, I think the speed of the defenders and stuff like that impacts the windows they're throwing into and having to adjust to that. I would hope that, they've done enough in the fall practice leading up to the season to try to get him more used to that game speed and doing those things. Joe Rossi coming in for Michigan State from Minnesota is really interesting. I'm interested to see what this Minnesota defense looks like without him. He was there for such a long time, like
Yep.
almost 10 years, I think. I think he came over with PJ Fleck at the very beginning when he came from Western Michigan. So it's going to be a
PJ
little bit different.
replaced Rob Smith
Oh,
with
that's right.
Rossi when they were giving up 50 points a game the first season. And then Rossi came in, they improved immediately and won like 4 or 5 straight, went to a bowl game, PJ's first year. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot he was on the staff, but he wasn't the defensive coordinator when he first came in. So yeah, I'm really interested in that. Of course, Rutgers and Illinois they're playing too, but it's Howard and Eastern Illinois, so it's not going to be probably the most exciting thing in the world. But hey, it's football. I'm just glad it's back.
I don't know. The bottom of the Big Ten will give us a surprise or two. They typically do. If not just a scare, a flat out, just embarrassing upset. Give me the collection of Illinois, Purdue, Northwestern, pretty much those three. Indiana will throw them into the basket, even though I can't remember an embarrassing loss out of Indiana. They could have easily
They
had one
almost lost
last
to
year
Akron
because
last year.
Akron missed a field
Yeah.
goal that would have beaten them, but they escaped. But the other three have a pretty good collection of FCS and MAC losses over the last 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, well, it was just Purdue what last year lost to Fresno State, I think it was, but
That
Fresno
I can
State.
forgive.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think they have their coach this year from last year, so
No.
I don't know if they'll have the same fortune. Hey, last thing, because I just thought about it. Rutgers is favored by 35.5. Can you ever recall a time where Rutgers was favored by more than 30 points over it?
No. That might be a first ever.
This is
Who are they playing? Wagner? Howard?
Howard,
Howard. They've got Howard.
who almost
Somebody
beat
else.
Northwestern last year.
Yeah. Yeah. If we would have known last year at the end of the year, okay, West Virginia, where'd that come from? Northwestern is going to beat Howard or Wagner. I'm getting them mixed up again. Howard, Wagner, 24-21. We would have thought, okay, well, yeah, they're going to go 1-11 like we thought. But no, they played well against everybody else. Yep.
I was gonna say if Northwestern had dropped that game to Howard and they had still managed to go 7-5 or 6-6 or something like that, that'd have been real embarrassing for any Big Ten team that lost to them, considering they lost to Howard earlier. But yeah. So anyway, just wanted to touch on that stuff, and I'll let you go on with your show. And if you have any other callers, get to them. Thanks, Mark.
So, JR, we're going to see you after the Buckeyes game on Saturday, correct?
Yes, me and
Awesome.
Mike will be there.
JR and Mike, after Ohio State Akron, play a thriller on Saturday afternoon. That's a 3:30 game, correct?
Yes, on
3:30.
CBS.
CBS. Maybe Garrett Danielson will kind of come to full realization. What happened to my broadcasting career? I'm doing Ohio State and Akron. What happened to my career? But anyway, they are well compensated, so let's not feel bad for them. But yeah, 3:30. And then after the game, join JR and Mike of Best Damn Media on the Buckeyes coverage after the ball game. All right, JR, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
Good to see you. Have a good one.
College football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.